Okay. Alright. This. Let's see how this is sounding right now. Stream. Okay. No data tests. Nope, that's not what I want. There we go. Okay. We are live. Boom is hanging out. I am. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna try my best to look at the camera. This is weird for me. I'm not used to being on camera. That's fine. Hello. All right. So last time we sharpened up this iron right here, and now what I'm going to work on is this chip breaker. Now the reason why we sharpen, or not sharpen, but we flatten the back of the plain iron is because we need a completely flat surface for the chip breaker to connect with our iron. When this is starting to cut through the wood, it's gonna peel away pieces of material, and this is basically gonna like persuade the wood to kind of like peel outwards away from the iron so it doesn't get clogged. But if there's any gap in between the chip breaker and the iron, chips will get stuck into it and it'll clog the whole mechanism. So I'm just gonna, I don't want to take off very much material at all, and straight edge here. This honestly already looks like it's in really good condition. So I'm actually not gonna take off very much at all, and I'm just gonna take my 2000 grit stone and just polish it up a little bit. Nothing too crazy, just some small circles. Making sure all the sides are all taken care of. Yeah, it's perfectly flat. That's fine. I'm gonna tell here. And then when I install this, I'm gonna put this little screw here. Just kind of nothing too tight, just a little loose. And I am going to put this screw through this kind of keyhole, slide it down, and then rotate my chip breaker so it catches up with the iron. And you'll see here, kind of hard to tell, yeah, you can see how I have the flat side of the iron coming against the chip breaker. This is going to be facing up. And I want this to be pretty much, oh man, that's weird. I'm like pretty much as close to the edge as I can get. It doesn't need to be far away. If it's far away, it's not going to do anything. So I want it to be really up close to the edge there. Almost just like a millimeter. 2. Now, kind of, I want the chip breaker also to be even with the blade. Okay, now I'm going to look up against a bright light. See any bit. I do not. I'm looking for any bit of light. I'm looking for any bit of light that's gonna make its way through this chip breaker. Just even the slightest gap, chips will get stuck in it. I found that like pretty much no matter what, these jam from time to time, but a clean fit helps. It goes a long way. I'm just gonna put this up here for now. The next thing that I'm gonna work on is this. This piece right here is the frog. It's what connects the blade to the base of the hand plane, and I want to make sure that this is perfectly flat. Off camera, I didn't film it. I forgot to film it, just because I knew we were going to get to this point today. I tightened up the tote, and so on this lateral adjuster here, there's this kind of pin here, and every once in a while these get a little loose, and the lateral adjuster will kind of like wiggle from side to side. And so you just have to take like some kind of hard metal and kind of like hammer the pin back into place. And then I put a little bit of machinist oil on that as well. So I'm kind of giving this an inspection, looking it over. There's a little bit of rust down here at the bottom. If we go to the bottom side of it, this is all looking pretty flat. That's what connects it to the plane itself. There's a little bit of rust right here. I'm going to take this screw off. Put it in there with the rest of the little pieces. And now I'm going to check to see if this is flat. I am going to flatten it no matter what, because I can see that there's rust here. Also, it seems like someone may have dropped this at some point. Maybe taking it apart themselves, because there's some like chipping, and there's a piece of metal right here. It's kind of sticking up a bit. And so I just want to take that all down to the base. Yeah, it's pretty much perfectly flat. I don't see anything wrong with it. But I'm still gonna flatten it down. So the way that you can do this is I have this melamine board, and I cut out a little groove. It doesn't need to be super pretty. And I'm gonna take my double-sided tape, super useful. I'm just gonna put a little piece right here. Knife. Couldn't find my scissors today. Undo that. Whoop. I'll throw that on the ground. Don't have a trash can over here. Take a lid of my dry wet sandpaper. This is 120 grit. that right there. Oh man, this is gonna be tough without my scissors. Yeah! Ooh, that's a terrible sound. I'm sorry for anyone that's currently viewing, which I don't think anyone's currently viewing. It's just me here. So I'm gonna make this terrible, terrible sound. Terrible! It's awful! It's the worst thing that anyone's ever heard. I'm gonna cut away at this little intro groove. See me make tools in real time. This is real woodworking. Making tools with other tools like kitchen knives. If you can't make something with a kitchen knife, you're not a real woodworker. That's not true. I just am making fun of those statements of like, if you don't do this, but I don't believe that at all. Okay, where is it? I am also going to turn on my fan, and I put on this mask, because I am scared of metal fragments. Not in my eyes, but in my lungs. Okay, this goes on here. It's a ventilation. Perfect. Okay. A little bit of spritz from the water can. Check. Yep. Getting all bits of this. This is good. Everything's getting touched up on. See, it's getting a little bit shinier. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna try to get this closer to the camera. Get a little bit of light on it. Excuse me. Alright, I have to do, hold on. My lights are just a little light. Okay. I lost my frog. Froggy, come here. Okay, you can see maybe there's all these machinist marks on this, and it looks very just like somebody really went at this with like 20 grit sandpaper. Yeah. When it was machined, this is definitely one of the later generation. This is definitely one of the later generation Stanleys. I haven't worked with one of these before, but people say that they lost a lot of their quality control, and this is just kind of like a sad quality here. Really kind of a poor, in shambles looking frog. So I'm not going to work too much on this because I think if I get rid of all of like the grooves and notches from when this was originally machined, it's just going to be down to nothing. So I'm just going to go for a few seconds more. Alright. I'm just gonna let this fan run on high. Yeah, mood. Okay.
Okay. Let that air settle for a bit. Okay. Now I'm going to take this. This is just a little thing of machinist oil. I'm going to put a little bit right here in the lateral adjustment. And just a little bit all over all this. Hello. Stop us from doing any flash rusting or anything like that. Not what we want here. Okay, the next thing that I want to do is I want to make sure that these are flattened and seated well. This is like the connection point from where the frog meets the main bed. This guy right here. So you can see, no, you can't. Any better lighting? Well, imagine you could see that there's these 3-4 connection points, and this a frog just sits right there on them. And this sits all right. Honestly, it seems like these bottom, weirdly enough, move this away, get this place a little less congested. It seems like this bottom is actually higher than this piece here. I'm not going to get into this machine or this tool and like try to flatten the bottom here. I'm just going to actually take a little bit right off of this piece. I can even feel that it is it's not even perfectly flat. Oh, damn. Okay, so it's tough to tell, but what's going on is this foot is like a hair taller than this foot. So I'm gonna take this down just like 5 strokes, and then I'm gonna try to get this foot level with this foot as well. That's crazy. Okay, even pressure. That's good. A little bit of mill marks coming off there. Where's my high foot? This is my high foot. I also don't want to like angle this in any direction other than flat on, because I don't want to disrupt this surface. Trying to find that flat. Yeah, so I can see that I took a lot more off of this foot than the other. That's a lot better. Okay, again, I'm going to put a little bit of oil on this. Nothing too crazy. Just where these 2 points meet. Set into place. What I'm feeling for is that this thing doesn't rock at all. This Stanley doesn't really have the same kind of machine quality as some of the older ones. and it just doesn't fit in really snugly, which is kind of a bummer. I can see here sitting there, oil got on all four or three connection points. That's good. Okay. I am gonna.
This is probably good. Keep this on for a little bit. Yeah, I don't even think that's getting picked up by the sound. Great. And metal getting you. Okay. So our frog is all tuned up. And I want to get my adjustment screws. Oh, yeah, I took this little adjustment knob out. I should probably reinstall this. So this piece goes whoop, right in there. And this is our blade adjuster. I'm new to this. Restoring plane thing. As you might be able to tell. Okay, so we have our small side. I'm putting this pin back into place. Okay. I'm not going to do this on the glass because that would be crazy. Then I use my biggest hammer. And what other tool do I have around here I can use? This little wooden piece here. I'll just kind of tap it back into place. Sorry, this isn't really the best of camera work. I didn't think about this beforehand. Alright, now that pin is back in place, I'm gonna do this a little bit more. I dropped everything. Okay, as you can see, the pin is almost back in place. I'll get some better lighting on this side so I can hold stuff up to the camera. Look, I'm going to use a craftsman tool for what it's not supposed to be used for. Yeah. Okay, that's good enough for now. I'll adjust that more. At my workbench, where I have a vise. Alright. I have my frog, I got my adjuster. I'm going to take this big copper wheel. Put a little bit of machine oil right there. And these are counters, or like reverse screwed. Actual verbiage for that is. Everything feels like very smooth, very, very good. I'm going to take my frog adjuster with this little tiny nut bolt right there. Goes on the back. The best part. Oh, I should have done that first. Okay, I've taken off the adjuster again. Now that everything is all flattened up, I can start to put this plane mostly back together. Dun, 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 dun. I don't want an hard time with it. Okay. The frog is put back together. This is our frog adjuster screw. This goes right. I'll clutter it up again. This goes right at the back of the, I don't know if anyone knows what this is called right here, this spot where the frog gets connected to the hand plane. I would love to hear that. Just gets screwed in right at the back of it. There's this little groove right, again, bad lighting, right there where the frog kind of sits into this piece. So here, now I'm installing the frog. The frog goes right in between that bolt. Now I want to adjust this forward. I tend to keep my hand planes with a bit of a closed mouth. That's what this is called. This opening right here is the mouth of the hand plane. And so I'll set my frog a little bit farther forward. I might have to adjust this later if I adjust it too much and the blade isn't able to go through the mouth. That's seeing where I want it to be. This hand plane, it doesn't really have good machining on it, and so even though all these connection points are flat, the hand plane still wants to kind of wiggle back and forth, kind of defeating the purpose of why Stanley even put in this frog adjuster to like easily move the frog back and forth without it sliding side to side. So it's kind of like a feature, but it doesn't really do anything on a plane that is not machined super well. But we continue to move forward. Take my frog adjustment screws. Oh. I'm not going to put these in super tight right now. I'm just going to get them snug, like little bugs and rugs, just so that my frog is sitting flush. And then I am going to adjust this to where I want it to be. Okay, everything seems to be moving well. Now I'm going to put my iron back in with the chip breaker. And I want to keep this completely retracted. I do not want my iron outside of the hand plane at this time. Hi, welcome. Thanks for joining. So right now I'm just putting the frog, which is the tool that connects this piece. This is the frog. This little thing. It's called a frog. I think it's based off of like old metal workers and something to do with something they had to build with like horses, something on the saddle or the hoof. Kind of looks like something. If you know, maybe leave a note in the chat. If not, that was just something I heard at one point. Okay. So putting this all together. This is at a good point. I like how narrow this mouth is. And so I'm actually going to lock my frog in place. Putting my iron back on. Okay, so I have my lever cap here, and what this does is through this little metal spring, when I compress the lever cap, it creates a pivoting motion where the bolt is putting downward pressure on the front of my blade. This thing does not need to be super flat. It just needs to be flat enough, and hopefully doesn't have any chips or breaks in it, because then it wouldn't be able to give equal pressure. But I think I might as well take it to the stone and just give it a couple
laps. Okay. Alright, and that is perfectly flat, ready to be installed. Wiping off all that iron, so when it dries, go up into the air. Put it on high for a minute.
That's that. Okay. Now, I'm putting this on. I'm actually gonna add, hear that squeak? I'm just gonna put a little bit of my machine oil. Try to work it in. Shouldn't take much. Yeah. And it's running smooth again. Now, there's kind of like a fine point where I want this to be tight enough that it is going to put pressure on it, but not so tight that I am struggling to get this lever to come down. That's just about perfect. It takes some force to close, some force to open, but I'm not fighting it. The reason I want this to be pretty snug is because when I am using the hand plane, I want to be able to adjust the blade, but I don't want to be so loose that the blade will just be able to adjust on its own. And that's our lateral. retracting it completely right. So most of the pieces of this hand plane are put together, at least the machined parts. The next we're going to work on is the front knob. I forget what it's called, something like that, and the back out. Now this one usually has a horn that kind of comes off of it, and it allows your thumb to kind of like push up right at this meaty part of your hand, so it gives you more grip pushing forward. And I'm going to make a short video where I refurbish these pieces, and that's going to be the last step, or second to last step, to restore this hand plane. Once those pieces are done and put together, I'm actually going to take this whole thing completely assembled, and I'm going to take it to a sandpaper, kind of like this, and I'm going to completely try to flatten the sole. I'm going to flatten the sole as well as the sides of the plane. I want this to be 90 degrees. Well, it is actually 90 degrees. So I'm just going to flatten the sole because I can see here that there are divots in it, just visually. So that's going to take some time. So I'm going to put this one away for now. And move on to the next hand plane that I'll be restoring. Which is this little Stanley number 4. And this one is, I think it's a Type 15. It was made before the Sweetheart generation, which is known as the best of the hand planes. I bought this one off eBay kind of ignorantly. I was looking for a Sweetheart because they're kind of known for being the creme de la creme of hand planes, and I didn't really know what I was looking for. So I got sucked in by this little logo here on the iron. Oh, you can barely see it. And it has a Sweetheart iron on this tool, but it is not a Sweetheart plane. So this is technically the wrong iron for this tool. There's a few other things wrong with it that just right off of looking at it. The lateral adjuster is bent. There is a chip right here in the mouth. But there doesn't seem to be any other cracks, and if someone does know, I don't think that this chip is actually going to cause me any problems, because on a smoothing plane like this, the iron doesn't really rest on this back of the mouth at all. So I imagine that if everything is set up well, the wood won't even be touching that unless it's like sliding over it. So correct me if I'm wrong, but that is what I believe. Oh, it is part. So I'm just reading your comment now. So it is part of the horse's hoof. It's a machine thing. Yeah, it's like a metal work, or is it just part of the horse? Yeah, it's tool fixing time. So I'm working on this Stanley number 4 now. For those of you who are just joining, I've been refurbishing this. We've spent some time on it. Stanley number 5, but I have to take all this stuff to the shop and actually sand down all the old paint, and make some replacement parts, but I'll make a video about that. And if anyone knows or can identify what type of wood this is right here, kind of hard to tell. A little bit of features of it. It feels light in my hand. It feels dense but almost hollow. It's got a bit of like a white or like almost like a orange brownish tone to it, and a tight grain. And I'm not really sure what it is. I have some guesses, but if you know, then leave a comment. Okay, so for this, I'm going to start breaking down this hand plane just piece by piece, and then I'm actually going to put this pretty much all into a vinegar solution and let it sit for like 2 days before cleaning it up. And I will probably clean it up, take it out and clean it up at the next video. So just starting from the top, take off this piece. Nice. Some spider webs. No spiders, that's good. We got our iron chip breaker for the wrong hand plane, but that's okay. Everything looks to be in order. What I'm looking for too are any cracks in the actual body of the iron. Okay, so this was very compressed, but came in apart really easily. I wonder... This looks to be mostly surface rust and not a lot of pitting. So maybe this was their user plane until recently. When it broke down, or they cracked it and they just put it up on eBay. Alright, taking off the frog here. Go. Ooh. Yeah, this all looks like pretty fresh. You can see there's a good amount of wood shavings underneath the frog. It all looks to be just recently used. This doesn't look super old, so I wonder if someone was using it. Okay, keep going. It also is all coming apart really easily, which is also making me a little bit suspicious. Okay. So here, the front knob, you can see that this is pretty beat up. A lot of cracks in this piece, and this is just gonna pop right out. Nice. A lot of grease and grime and buildup. I'm gonna try to repair this with... Actually, this is kind of neat. I really want to get light on this. Yeah, I think you can kind of tell. If you can see right down the center here, there's two different tones in this wood. One's darker, one's lighter. It looks like someone took two pieces and just kind of glued them together. And I'm not sure why that would be. If anyone knows why someone would have taken this, if this is a part of the original way that they were building these, I don't think that was. But my guess is that it was a repair, and someone used something like... I almost want to say this looks like Purple Heart, and then Rosewood. So someone seemed to have used maybe a Purple Heart and a Rosewood and kind of glued them together as a repair at some point. And the Purple Heart side is rapidly falling apart. It's not doing well. So maybe I'll do the same. I'll just cut off the bad side of this and replace it with a piece of Purple Heart, given a little bit of the original aesthetic, or I will just go and cut it down a different direction and continue this tradition of slicing this thing into pieces and making a Frankenstein knob. Okay. Put that to the side. Alright, we have our tote. It's all there. There's a tiny little piece missing. I'm gonna move this light again. Tiny little piece missing right here at the top, but that is not a big deal. I'm just gonna chip that away and replace it probably with walnuts. This has also been repaired at one point in time. Hard to tell. I don't have good lighting forward, but there is a glue joint right here along it, so this has cracked at some point in time. Okay. Yeah, a lot of grime and build up underside of this, but seems to all be holding together. I'll just sand it down and put a new, what feels like lacquered on it. That out. Okay. Another piece down. We have our body. Kind of giving it a once over. I won't really be able to tell super well if there's any major damage to this other than our mouth right here until I get this soaked into the vinegar. And it's also in great condition. It's very square. So once I get it in that solution, I'll be able to tell if there's any cracks in the body, but right now we are looking to be in great shape. This is one of the 1910 models, and it does have the full flat frog. It's already put together, but the later models started to put little grooves into the frog, and the idea with that is that it would save material, but on the contrary, people theorized that it gave less support for the blade to rest on, causing some like rattling when you would cut through the wood. And so people like these full flat frogs rather than the frogs with little grooves in them. Wow, this thing is just coming apart. Easy. All the screws here almost have no rust or corrosion on them, just some grime. I don't know what kind of oil this person used. The other thing on this is that these frogs are fully covered in lacquered. And I'm just gonna flatten that completely off. Yeah, I have no problem with that. Ooh, the adjusters. It's not moving. Okay, that's fine. I am gonna start unscrewing my blade adjuster here. See if we can get this thing to come completely off. So far, so good. little tight at the end, but that's not a big deal. Yeah, a lot of grime on that. Yeah, I'm not gonna take that out right now. I don't think I'm gonna soak the frog at all in. Okay, that's. This little adjustment screw is really on there. And just try to get some oil in there. This is our screw that connects our frog to our frog adjuster, which is the thing that pushes it forward and back. And I want this out because eventually I'm going to flatten these 2 points where the frog connects to the plane body. So I want to try to get that out, let that sit, and try to not strip anything. Okay, nice. That came out with minimal effort. That one's really in there. Another weird thing. It looks like it has Loctite on it. Yeah, I don't know who had this plane before me, but it feels like they were using it within the last 20 years. And making some interesting choices. You can see there's a little like black, reddish kind of looking like a residue right at the edge where the top of the nut meets the spirally, you know what I'm talking about. And there seems to be a little bit of red, dark red resin on there, so that makes me think that someone put Loctite on this. That is very strange. Yeah, I see that in there. Okay, this I am not going to put through the onslaught of the vinegar solution. I'm just gonna oil it and then clean it up with some vinegar and a tough toothbrush. And hopefully I can get this lateral adjustment to move. So what I don't want this to do is, there's a tiny little pin. I really need that forward light. There's a tiny little pin right here where the lateral adjustment meets the frog. And I haven't really replaced any of them, but the pin and the adjuster are supposed to move at the same time. I'm just trying to work a little bit of the oil into that groove, so I'm not forcing this adjuster to move, and instead it'll start to move on its own and kind of clear itself out. Put a little bit in the back too. I don't know if that'll help, but I'm doing it. Nice. Alright, we are cooking. We're cooking with lateral adjusters. While I'm here, I'm gonna need another tool for this. Also notice that the adjuster is bent here at the back. Probably just got bent. I'm not really sure how. They're pretty well protected, but it is bent and it was definitely scraping along the tote here, so I'm gonna have to bend that back, and I'm gonna be gentle with it because it has this really nice looking Stanley print here. Wish I had another zoom in camera. Really nice Stanley print right here along it, and I don't want to scrape that or scuff it up at all. I might even come in with a wire wheel and just peel off all the Japanning on this piece, just so that you can see that Stanley nicely. Okay, I'm going to get some cleaning solution and I'll be right back. Okay. So to scrub this, I'm just going to use soap and water. I'm actually going to remove this little pin first. If I have my little pin remover around here, which I do. Let's see if this comes out easily. This pin went into this piece. Put that with my pile of little pieces, and I'll find a new Tupperware for that. This is my Tupperware that goes with this other hand plane. Okay, back to it. Got a bunch of little pieces all over the place. Adjusters. My little spongy water. That is a nice feature. So something cool about this is the lateral adjuster, instead of just being a simple metal piece, is on this bearing. Yeah, I don't see that in the new ones. Maybe with some of the higher quality planes you can buy now, but not on the new Stanleys. I'm just trying to work in here, get all the grime out from all the little grooves. Not the most exciting. Sorry. I'm finding that a lot of plane restoration is not super exciting, but it does take focus. Some rust build up on the sides here, and then a lot of grime right back here behind where our blade adjuster is. Just wipe this down. What do I have here? So this doesn't have any rust on it, so I'm not worried about this flash rusting or anything. Just gonna kind of exist and dry out mostly on its own. I don't want to leave any like water bits on it, but be in good shape. Because I'm gonna do all the other flattening, and this is all gonna sit in a solution for a few days. I'm just gonna work on the frog right now and get this to a point where I want it to be. And if you were around earlier in the video, you know that I was using this little tool here. It's nothing crazy, just something I put together. And it is just a piece of sandpaper with double-sided tape on a flat surface, a little groove cut out. And that groove is for this lateral adjuster. Sometimes they stay on, sometimes they pop off, sometimes your plane just doesn't have them at all. But if they do, they're not one of the pieces that you can easily take on and off. So this allows me to flatten this piece and clean it up without having to take off that lateral adjuster. I also want my mask. I turn on my fan.
Because I don't want any small metal particles in my lungs. Okay, this is what it looks like now. Got a lot of Japanning. It's kind of scattered Japanning. You can see where the blade was really touching the metal. And that part was starting to peel off. So I'm going to try to get rid of all of it and just bring it back to a flat surface. Okay, so you can see where there are low points on this. There's a low point here, and here, here, and here. I want to get this thing completely flat so the blade has a nice surface to land on. Okay, we're getting a little bit closer. I'm gonna take my straight edge and see if that is. Oh yeah. So holding it up to the light, I can see that there is a pretty significant gap right there, where there's a big divot in this piece. On the other side, not so much. But definitely on this one. I'm just gonna keep working at it. Just keep working at it. It's 7 o'clock now, but I'm gonna finish this before. I'm just gonna finish the frog completely before moving on. And so I'm gonna flatten down the base and the other connecting points where the frog meets the body. Alright, getting there. I think this sandpaper has run its course. Time for a new little piece. Off you go, it's a sandpaper! No! Mr. Bill! I also couldn't find my scissors, so using a knife. Sorry for the loud noise here. It's kind of hacking away at it like a cave. And hacking away at my sandpaper. Just hacking away at sandpaper. That's what I do. Next time I'll remember my scissors. Come on. There we go. I promise. I promise I'll remember my scissors. Who am I promising to? My scissors. Obviously. Exhausting. Tiring work. This reminds me of the other video. Alright, almost there, just a little bit more. Put my back into it. Come on. Oh, I think they're falling off my table. Woo. Okay. Look at that. Just about completely flat. Just a little bit of space still in there. Alright, I'm not going to take it much further than that. I think that's pretty damn good. So, just another, I don't know, 20 seconds. I did just make a Mr. Bill reference. Oh no! Mr. Bill! 16, 15, 14, 13, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. -1. Oy. Okay. Yep, that's about as flat as I'm gonna make that thing. It's shiny. There's a little bit of divot there, but it is a hair. Everything else is wonderfully flat, and that is exactly how you want that to be. The next is I'm going to try to get this surface, which is feeling pretty rough, also flat, and I'm going to take it on this little board that I keep right in front of me. And I'm not going to do too much on it. It's just, I want to do the same amount on this piece, this upper shelf, that I do on the lower ones. Make sure it's flat. 15. Okay. Now that piece is perfectly flat, all the japanning is off it. The other thing that I've heard about these pieces that have a lot of paint on them is that the theory or people's thoughts on it is that the paint is actually kind of soft, and so when the blade is pressed against a soft material like paint, it doesn't create a good surface, and that can also lead to chatter. I don't know how true that is. I don't know if anyone's ever done a study, but that's the theory. So I did 15 back and forths. I'm going to do 15 back and forths on the bottom feet as well. I want this all to be evenly... Oh no! I want this to be evenly flattened because I want to take off the same amount of material as I do on this shelf as I do on these feet. If I have to adjust it later, I will, but I want to have the option to adjust that. Make sure that those feet are flat. Okay.
My frog is in now pretty much awesome condition. Ready. Get a blade. But that will have to happen in the next video. I don't know what's happened here. Am I sitting taller, or has my head just not been in frame this whole time? I think my boom mic attacked it. Your dastardly little boom mic attacking the camera like that. A little bit of oil on all those newly flattened surfaces. A little bit of oil on everything, you know? Oil never hurt anything. Ever. Probably. Alright. Now we have our frog ready for its new life as... Oh no! As a... I'll just sit down like this. Very crunched over. Okay. Don't mind me. Just... Yeah. Okay. Now we have the frog. It is ready to be put in a new plane, which is going to be this. But I have to let this soak for a long time in vinegar. So that'll be next time. I must be sitting taller. Anyways, thanks all for being here. That is the end of this live stream. I'm going to continue to work on these hand planes on Thursday at 6, and then again the next Tuesday. Yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing. That is the end of the live stream. I hope everyone has a good night, and I will see you next time. Have a good night.